Here we go. Number 19, 2.2. All right, so the first step is what I call the derivative. Okay? Well, it's not what I call it. It's what we call it in calculus. Okay? And the derivative, okay, is x or g prime of x. Okay? Whereas I take this exponent and I multiply it by the coefficient. So what's 2 times 3? 6. And then I take 1 away from the exponent. So 1 from 2 leaves you 1, right? Does that make sense? But there's a 1 here, so what's 1 times 2? 2. And then what's 1 from 1? 1 from 1 is none, right? So then we have no exponent left. Or we have a 0. So remember, x to the 0 is equal to 1, right? So the x goes away. Now if you remember, x to the 0 is equal to 1, that means that there's an x to the 0 here, right? So then 0 times 8 is 0. Does that make sense? Okay, so that just goes away. So we're going to set this equal to 0. Okay? That's what's going on here. We're setting the derivative equal to 0. Okay? The reason is because we're going to have a maximum or a minimum. Which one in this case? Is it positive? Right? So it opens up, right? So we know that this thing opens up, right? And so then we're going to have a minimum value. Does that make sense? Not this one. Okay? We're going to have a minimum value right here. And what happens, when we think about it, is the derivative is the change of y over the change of x. And what is the change of y over the change of x? Anyone remember? The change of y over the change of x. Slope. Right. Okay? And so, what slope is that? Negative or positive? Negative. What slope is this? Positive, right? But at some point, that slope's going to be this, right? Which would be what? 0. So m would equal 0 at this point right here. See what I mean? So if we set the derivative equal to 0, then we know where this point will start, where the x is for this point. In other words, the axis of symmetry. Okay? Alright, so I got to solve. Minus 2, I get 6x is equal to minus 2. Right? And then I divide by 6. And I divide by 6, so I get x is equal to negative 1/3. Everybody follow me up to that point. Okay? It's just algebra. We got the axis of symmetry, right? Okay? Which means, where are my pins? There they are. Which means if I'm going to graph it, the axis of symmetry is at negative 1/3. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Negative 1/3. Let's break this up into thirds. 1, 2, 3, right? So negative 1/3. Right? Everybody feel me there? That's your axis of sym. Okay? X equals negative 1/3. Okay? Now, we're going to plug that in. G of negative and a third is equal to 3 times 1/3 negative squared plus 2 times negative 1/3 minus 8. Okay? So what is a third squared? 1/3 times 1/3 is 1/9 times 3 would be 3/9 or 1/3. Is that right? 3/9 or 1/3. Right? Okay. And what's 2 times 1/3? But that would be minus 2/3. Okay? And then minus 8. Now, here's how you know you're doing it right. This should be half of this. Okay? It needs to be half. If it's 28, it should be 14. Right? Okay? So, and a third is half of 2/3. Does that make sense? Right? So when I subtract 2/3 from this, I'm going to get negative 1/3 minus 8. So I'm going to get f of negative 1/3 is equal to negative 8 1/3. Everybody got me to that point? Okay? So what happens here is we have a vertex is at negative 1/3 and negative 8 1/3. Okay? That means that negative 8 1/3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And 9. And then we'll break that up into 3 pieces. 1 and 2 and 3. 8 1/3 is going to be right here. Okay? Right there. And now we're going to plug in a number. The easiest number to plug in, 0. Okay? So, f of 0 is equal to 3 times 0 squared plus 2 times 0 minus 8. So f of 0 equals minus 8, because 0 squared is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 minus 8 is minus 8. Okay? So we got 0 and negative 8. Alright? So 0 and negative 8. So we're going like that. Okay? And then on the other side, right? We have f of 2 times the axis. What's the axis? Negative 1/3. Right? 2 times negative 1/3 is negative 2/3. That sucks, but that's the way it is. Right? Hope this works. That means 3 times negative 2/3 squared plus 2 times negative 2/3 minus 8. So let's think about that. What is 2/3 squared? But 4/9, right? Times by 3. So I got negative 12/9. And then what is 2 times negative 2? Oh wait, that's not negative, that's positive. Sorry about that. That's 12/9. So this would be 4 minus 4/3. Well, what is 12/9? Right? 3 goes into it, so it's 4/3, right? So what is 4/3 minus 4/3? It's 0, right? So we're left with negative 8. So we know that there's a point at f of negative 2/3, and negative 8. That is our point. So right here, at 1/3 over, at 2/3, you have a point right here. And it goes up like this. And that's your graph.
Oh.
Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Yeah.